all the players have readied up, so hopefully Nova is still in the right mindset at the moment. We'll be able to tell very, very quickly. But like I said, let's see what sort of aggression Immunity you're going to bring out here on the pistol round, Jim.
Yeah, we'll be interested to see what they do with themselves. But as we see, they are going to take banana control. That smoke, just giving them the opportunity. I think they've actually called not live, so...
Yeah, I see a few people not moving in T-spawn there.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? That's BM, I say.
Oh, I don't think, in any case, I mean, not too much had happened. All that we probably did see, which is a little bit of a tell, which I feel sorry for Immunity in this sake, is that we did see Sniper, I believe, from CT Spawn throwing that deep smoke down towards the bottom of Banana. Bounces off a few roofs and whatnot on the way down there, but essentially blocks off that bottom of the choke point and gives the B players a little bit more of an opportunity to push out with safety to the top of Banana and get that spot down. Really creates that wall at the bottom of the mid that terrorists have to charge through whilst they are blinded by the smoke. So a little bit of a tell there. I'm sure he's not too impressed with that, but he'll get over it quite quickly, as I think as they are now readying up again.
Yeah, let's see if they are ready this time. I'm interested to see whether or not they run the same sort of execution. And whether vs.Immunity are going to respond, maybe send themselves to second mid. But that being said, it might be playing exactly into Immunity's trap.
Oh, you set the scene perfectly there, Jim, without really saying anything at all. But we do see, it doesn't look as though they have done the same, because we do see 3 members going a little bit more aggressively. 2 members there towards top mid anyway, but you can see Vox moving very quickly up T-ramp there. So they've sent 4 towards Banana there. That Glock train is moving its way up. Perhaps a horse stampede is more accurate given the common sounds these days, but because they're the in-game leader on the lurk, it's something we've seen him do before and does a great job there in this match. Their season's hopes right on it, and he has got the first frag there. James will go down, and that would be the first information there that Immunity have that there is some apartment control. They won't be too sure on the numbers. They know Kozir was there, but they'll be questioning perhaps how many more members will be following suit. But Usilo with a good timing there does step around mid, but having a little bit of trouble getting the crosshair on him as Kozir still has 50 health points, but you can see it was all a fake here. They will now move in towards the B side, and Rickhead backing off under the pressure that Vox are putting on them here. Great work. They have got the bomb down, and it's going to be a 4-on-4 situation here. The frags, they're coming in slow at the moment, but Nova speeds it up a bit. He does get 2 in the connector, and all of a sudden, Emag's going to be wondering where his support is. He's got 2 pistols, though. Perhaps he might convince himself that there's another member still alive, given that fact. But as he drops 2 headshots, he does spot the last, but no kit. So he'll just tap the bomb. He'll be aware that the time's running low, though, so he would have wanted Nova to step out just then, because now he's going to be in a tough position where he doesn't have time to defuse the bomb, and he knows it as well. So he will back off, and that will be around the first of the night going to vs.Immunity.
Yeah, well played from vs.Immunity. Got into the site, obviously, because they're doing a good job of selling that fake in the A halls and just keeping those 2 guys firmly rooted at that A site. So they were then opened up in that B site. Nova doing a good job of getting the frags when they counted in the connector. So easy peasy for vs.Immunity, but they need to navigate this anti-eco. Just a few upgraded pistols and armor for Team Immunity.
Perfect start for Vox, though. We already pointed out the fact that it is a CT-sided map, and they'll be so pleased with the fact that they got that T-pistol. But also, as importantly, the fact that they made some nice big frags along the way, Nova in particular, which really will give them some confidence now.
Yeah, just taking it nice and slow too, vs.Immunity. Just really cautious of the damage that these pistols can deal in close range. So we will see a bit of a smoke off. Just going there in B, and only 1 member of Team Immunity at that B site. The second member just rotating off there. If you look into the radar, Sniper just going back towards A and going to stack numbers towards that. Rekir tasked with giving the information at B.
Can I just point out something that's really unusual that you don't see many teams do here? Whilst Eco, Sniper has picked up a defuse kit. Now that's, well, I mean, an investment that he's placed clearly because he thinks this could come down to a tight situation in the end, and you can see the clear forward thinking there by the in-game leader of Immunity, recognising the fact that that might come in handy a little bit later, but you can see Vox Jim here moving towards the B side.
So Ricker is going to be called into action at the coils. Emag, though, is on the flank, so Ricker's really just got to delay this team's entry into that B site. Now, they are starting to file in from behind. They do enough to delay the plant, so vs.Immunity are forced to fight, and Emag picks up another frag here, and they are just being picked apart. There are no smokes on this B site. Cossie doing a good job, but he's taken a lot of damage in doing so. And Sicko really just needs to eliminate that truck threat as he does continue into CT spawn. So he's eliminated some of the crossfire. That bomb has gone down, but somehow Emag is still surviving and got this particular round. I don't even understand what happened there. That's
oh my
ridiculous.
goodness, they were just putting so much pressure on them in there, and you can see that Kozzy was forced to go for that plant at the Huck Barrels, as we refer to it in Australia. I'm not too sure, Jim, perhaps what the other...
Oranges, second oranges.
Second oranges. That might be a better known term. I do
Sun.
apologise if I confused anyone, but Sicko almost took too long there as he pushed out. Needed to get that frag there at truck to really give Kozzy that freedom to get the bomb down, but you could see in the end of his 50 bullets in the P90, he probably used about 40 of them before he did get that frag in there. It just took too long. In the end, EMAG almost had that opportunity to shoot a couple of players there in the back to seal the deal, but exactly what Vox didn't need, in the sense that the strength of the pistol, sure, I can buy that, but they should still be able to put them away with the SMGs and the rifles that they did have, and that's just going to really bolster the confidence of Immunity as they get back on the winning way. They do have 2 rifles, or 2 M4A1Ss, I should say. They do have an AK as well that they did recover, so make that 3. 2 SMGs, though, in the hands of Sniper and Ricky, so if they could get a couple of frags, that could be a lot more money coming their way.
Vox Eminor were really just pincered there from 3 angles, the fast flank working, but EMAG peaks too early in mid as Moe punishes him for doing so, and they are going to continue to put a little bit of pressure on mid and try and force a rotation out of B, but we see Ricky just in a forward position here just through that smoke, so danger waits on the other side as RBZ takes one for the team, does find him out there and get the frag, and Sniper is going to be the man to take first contact here in this B site. As the smokes come raining in, he will be smoked out, but he's just going to try and hopefully get a frag through that smoke. Unable to do so, and I do believe Immunity are just going to back off here.
Yeah, you can see 2 of them in A, not even showing any sort of desire to want to go towards that B site there. It was just too late for them in the round with the bomb already being planted, and Terrorists having complete reign of that site there, and Sniper as well in CT spawn, forced to back off. Really surprised with the way in which I guess EMAG was so carefree about his life, so to speak, strolling across the top of mid. He was punished there by Moe. I think all I'd put that down to is perhaps not expecting that Moe was going to have an AK in hand, given the fact that Immunity had just beaten or defeated in the previous round a full by Vox Eminor, perhaps suspecting that their money might be a little bit lower than it turned out to be. But as it was, that really cost them, because off the back of that frag, put a lot of pressure on Ricky there, the sole player in Banana, as Sniper was forced to rotate from B to A. And great little flash there from RBZ, wasn't it? It really opened up that pathway into the B side. Again, this is a seesaw battle. It really, I think, bodes well for what we might see of the rest of this series. Things are heating up here. Yeah,
RBZ, the money man, clearing out Banana, and it just caught Ricky. Even though he had to cover that smoke, wasn't able to do too much. But early aggression from CT to Team Immunity. Just that grenade going down mid. Didn't catch anyone out at all, as they do stack 3 in towards Banana. They are going to get a bit of a tower going over this smoke and Banana, and hopefully try and get a pick on anyone that's sitting or pushing that Banana smoke at all.
The difficulty here, though, for Immunity is, even if they do manage to win a few rounds here, I know they're quite scrappy at the moment going each way, but the key thing for me is it's keeping Ricky's economy really low, so even when Immunity can afford to buy, it's just perhaps rifles or even SMGs. The time in which between now and when he's going to be able to afford an AWP is getting longer and longer apart, which is exactly what Vox need to do. That's when Immunity often find themselves in trouble, when Ricky can't afford the AWP, because it just takes away that extra dimension of their play. So Vox will be really happy with the moment in terms of the financial state of the game. You can see them here, putting a little bit of pressure, forcing Ustilo back into the side. He is the sole member at B here, though, so might be calling for a little bit of backup soon, because we can see a few members heading up their way. They're throwing a few utility grenades as well, almost giving away their current positioning, so look out here at the B side.
Yeah, Kozzy in his usual position too of lurking in that A site, but smokes are raining down in this A site. As now Ustilo is going to pop flash and step out here. Does blind a few members of Vox Eminor, but doesn't actually get a frag at all. In fact, Nova and Moe open up the account, and that smoke is not quite covering their path into this site. Moe, though, does opt to push, and James is just simply there waiting. They do get that bomb down, and a 3v2 retake will favour Team Immunity just slightly, as they got a crossfire going in the back of the site. So it's up to both RBZ and Sicko, the 2 new guys in Vox Eminor, to win this round, as the crossfires do come in, and they're doing quite well so far, but that deagle from Ricky is a massive factor here. Steps around and picks the frag up, showing us that he's not just a threat with a rifle and AWP, but also a deagle as well. Doing it old school.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that the first team to win 2 rounds in a row will go on to win the rest of the match here, Jim. It's been quite back and forth, hasn't it, so far? Great work by Ricky, obviously winning that 1v2 there, but questionable play by Moe, pushing through that sort of partial smoke towards the CT spawn and making it a 3-on-2 situation to their disadvantage there. I'm not sure if there was any need to do that. I think he was probably a little bit overconfident, perhaps bloodlust, and even the fact that he already dropped one earlier on in the rounds and wanted a little bit more fragging action. You can see again though, Vox, they can still afford to force buy, so it's meant that 3 players have rifles in their hands. I like that grenade there though by snipers. It does manage to drop Moe, one of their impact fraggers, down to 58 health points already. So early pressure being applied, and we've seen this set up from Immunity before. You can see both Ustillo and I do believe it is Ime there side by side in apartments. Often catches members off guard if they do decide to walk up those stairs. You can see Sicko. He might be the man in question, and I think he's about to find an unwelcome opposition. Actually, though, I think they're a little bit too far back, so they couldn't quite see his head there, and that's just breathed some life into the round, and as Sicko goes around the corner, he actually manages to drop one. That should not have happened at all. Misplay there by Immunity, standing a little bit centimetres too deep there. Couldn't quite see all of Sicko, but James doing a good job recovering the situation as he does drop Koz there on the lurk. Not the first time that we said that this match. You can see that the other 3 members of Vox, though, well positioned in Banana. Only 40 seconds left on the clock. It does look, though, they will choose to commit to the B side, and Ricky does a good job of getting that early information and gets the frag as well. So 2 for 1 in that sense. He'll now be calling for some backup because he can hear them moving in. Maybe he doesn't need the backup. He'll just take all 3 himself. A nice little hat trick there from Ricky. Seals the deal. And Team Immunity, the first to win 2 rounds in a row in this match.
That's it, Ricky. Strong, independent man who don't need no backup from his teammates. So I see Nick shake his head, but good hold from Ricky nonetheless. As now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Team Immunity string 2 rounds together. Does that mean it's over, Nick?
It's over. I'm calling it 5 rounds in. But no, in all sincerity here, the Immunity making it look as though they haven't had any trouble so far in this match, as they just casually stand at the top of mid there and just spray them all down in a matter of seconds. The round's done. Of course, Fox were on eco, but complete and supreme confidence there from Immunity just to stand and take those aim duels. Of course, we're well aware of just the danger with which those pistols can possess, but Immunity seemingly not fearful at all. And all of a sudden, they're now starting to slowly build up that economy. You can see that they can easily afford to buy next round if they were to lose this as well. Not to jinx them at all, but they'll be happy with the fact that their money situation's a little bit better, a little bit more healthy. You can see 2 members here pushing out Banana, but just going for a little bit of information because I think they're quick to back off. Apart from those HE grenades that I think potentially they both might have thrown, they haven't used too much utility yet, saving that for later in the round. I like that play. Some teams can be very, very quick to use smokes and Molotovs almost needlessly early on in rounds of Banana there. I like the fact that they're saving them, particularly that Vox aren't showing too much presence at Banana.
Yeah, they are just taking this really cautiously, that smoke preventing their entry to Banana early on, and they are just taking their time and cautiously checking all the choke points. Of course, there's still a minute remaining on the timer. We are still using the 1 minute 45 round timer. So just to clarify that, we are also using a 35-second bomb timer as well, but they will execute on this A site, and that smoke is going to smoke off pit. So looks like perhaps an A-Wrap will be what's on the cards here, as it does obstruct view as they come around that bend, but it doesn't matter anyway. Ustillo's just up on that boost, the Kogu boost, just feasting on the frags there, and as quickly as it began, I know the smokes were a nice touch. Team Immunity just dismantled that execute oh so easily. Yeah,
perfect work there by Immunity. Can I just say, I love the way in which they used their utility ever so wisely on the CT half there. I know I started to mention it early on, but even the players at A as well, they did a fantastic job of their arsenal of nades in using HE grenades and even Molotovs earlier on in the round to put that pressure on Vox, which is wonderful, sure, but they saved the smokes for those late round situations, so it meant that Vox had to execute up through that smoke in mid. Great play by the experienced team, and again, they're going very aggressive on these eco rounds here. I like this ploy as well. It's a ploy that can sometimes get in the heads of the opposition where it's less risk for Immunity, but by the same token, it almost has that same effect as though they did it on a gun round where Vox are still scared now as they move into previous or oncoming rounds about that very fact happening again with that aggression.
Yeah, more importantly, changing the tempo as CTs. So really just keeping the terrorists guessing. I mean, now they're going to be even more cautious when they see certain smokes and nades and gren patterns appear on the map. I mean, all they need to do is just emulate that on a gun round, and Vox Eminor are basically forced to just go back into a shell expecting that same aggression, but they do wrestle control of Vox Eminor with this banana aggression early on and really just forcing them into mid and second mid. As you can see, all of Vox Eminor just bunched up there and now just taking apartments control against Team Immunity. Immunity happy to let them have it though.
It was a different opening though from Vox. They actually sent 4 members very early on to the second mid, so it was definitely a planned attack in that regard. Now they're going to send 3 members towards the end of A apartments here, and whilst I think Moe and it might also be Nova there in mid do try and throw some sort of distraction nades, the main bulk of the attack will be at the A apartments. Normally quite hard to really get out of. So many choke points to look at, so Cozy does a great job there of getting that first battle, dropping Ustillo there in the pit now. The wall of smokes are up, this is good, but no one has cleared out the sides, and Emag there feasts on that very fact as he does drop the bomb planter. So now they've got 2 problems. They've got one fact that Immunity have members in the site, and another that the bomb still hasn't been planted, and really they're just getting picked apart now. They need to take that site, but it's going to be ever so difficult for them because all 4 members of Immunity are now here to lock down and almost prevent them from getting outside the pit. And even more so, they each want frags. Emag doing a fantastic job there of not just getting those few frags. I think he finished with 3 for the round, but his presence was so terrifying for Vox Eminor there as they tried to move forward.
Yeah, they didn't eliminate Emag in that A side. That was their biggest issue there. Those smokes actually acted in Emag's favour because there was simply no threat from Diggity at all, and he was just able to pick them as they tried to push through the smoke into the site. All too easy for Emag. They're playing that quite well. So now Vox Eminor again on another gun round here as a result of the loser bonus mounting up, but this aggression from Team Immunity has got them at least 1 trade early on, even though they did lose. Remember, Sicko does a little bit of team damage there, hopefully not too much though, to the back of, I think it was Nova. Top of mid, and RBZ finding that frag through the smoke in Banana and just forcing that man to come off A as he has to rotate now and cover that site. 3 members of Team Immunity forced to do a really difficult task here in defending 2 bomb sites.
Well, that's right. They've split their forces at the moment. We can see 1 at B and 2 at A. Now, this is really where Vox have excelled in their previous matches this season, in these late round scenarios where the numbers are quite even, if not in their favour. They've always made those right decisions in putting themselves in favourable situations to make, if not the frag, the trade frag. You can see slowly moving the way, and they do catch James off guard as I say that. So he wasn't expecting that. There was no read in mid there with his, I guess, support A player playing in the pit there. So Emag will get 2, but it's not going to be enough in the sense that it's still a 1-on-2 here for Ustillo to try and close out, and the bomb has now been planted. Interested to see what after plant position Sicko will go. It looks as though he's moving towards the graveyard and does in fact go in there. So they are positioned well. They do need to get an early read, and they'll do that as Emag, or I think it was RBZ, I should say, in the pit there. Does strafe around, has a nade in hand, so can't quite finish the job, but would have instantly called Ustillo's positioning there so that Sicko was aware that he was below him. And in the end, I think they do seal the deal quite easily, and crucially get another round win on the board. It's been quite few and far between after a good start from them.
Yeah, they've got a really fragile economy here, though. I think that's the most concerning part, is if they don't get a plant this round, you really will see them struggle to buy. Team Immunity have really got quite some bank behind them going into this round now. Early B aggression again come out from Team Immunity, and this time they are playing a man at the sandbags. I believe it's James actually just sitting there, and Vox Eminor just locked into both second mid and mid for the moment as they wait out those smokes and will just try and retake those choke points.
I might just point out, I know the Renegades guys are normally quick to jump on this when we had them on our cast the last couple of nights, which we're so appreciative of, but 5 members of Immunity here have purchased kits. I'm not really sure if there was a need for that in that context. I think it's all about trying to build up. Whilst they had the money to spare, if they do lose this round, they might be in a little bit of a precarious situation. So perhaps a little bit of an over-investment there from the team. You can see here at the moment that 2 members underneath the porch or balcony, as some people refer to it, where they've already had success as a CT side, albeit it was a little bit different where Ustillo was on the roof, so he did have that extra vision. But Vox, a little bit indecisive at the moment for me. You can see that with 35 seconds left on the clock, they've only now just started to move up mid. They haven't gained too much map control outside of that though. So whilst RBZ tries and perhaps sells a little bit of a fake there in the B side, it does look as though a mid to B's on the card though. So they've actually managed to slip through the arch. A well-placed smoke there at jungle has allowed them through to CT, and I think the B players might be caught napping here as Sniper does fall at the hands of Kozir, and they've done a fantastic job here in opening up the B side, seemingly with nothing going for them with 35 seconds left. James does take down RBZ though, so it's really going to be the CTs retaking through Banana, a position that the Terrorists found themselves in only 20 seconds ago.
Yeah, that's it, and you can see them amassing all in that Banana, and it could be a problem for them, all retaking through one choke point as that flash does come in. Ricker does get the frag regardless, so he's going to communicate now the positions of the team as they do clean up. James and Emag doing a great job there. This bomb though is just planted for him. He won't get that frag though as he crosses to the oranges. That defuse will come in. So good retake from Team Immunity. Always dangerous coming from one choke point, but they really didn't have a choice, did they?
Well, I think they did. And I must say, I thought that was a horrible decision by Immunity to send for Banana. I hated what I just saw then. I think they were lucky, very lucky to win that round there. I think that one member of the form of Nova had, I think, lingered around in City Spawn for a little bit too long, perhaps suspecting and going, surely Immunity won't be silly enough to send all for Banana. Well, they did, and it won the round for them, but I hated that play. I think it's much better to separate your forces there. You definitely had the option. We see a nice shot there from Ricky. You definitely had the option of going CT there for that retake. I don't agree with that at all, but worked out for them. And like we said, it's now going to reset Fox's economy, so tough position here for these guys on the less favourable side of T Inferno.
Yeah, I think they went largely through Banana because they knew they wouldn't have to retake as many choke points. Obviously, they could be anywhere in CT there. I think that was the rationale behind it. But nonetheless, they're on the back foot here as a result of losing post-plant and just Deagles and Tech-9s across the place. Obviously, losing Sicko early on as well. So 4v5 already. Team Immunity just playing a passive A site here. Moe investigating what's going on up at Diggity. Does cop a grenade for his Inquisition, but Stillo now does realise that they are going to stream into that site. Ricky there is just backing his teammate Emag up, and they are both cleaning the Diggity rush up as Vox Eminor now just find themselves behind by 6 rounds here in the first half. What do you think would be the magic number for Vox Eminor on this T side?
I think if they could get themselves up to 5, I think that they'd be in with a decent shot as we move into the second half. I think the CT side definitely lends itself to getting on a little bit of a roll. So if they could try and recover 2 more rounds here, that's probably the message that's going out amongst the team at the moment. Just trying to set those small little goals for the team. You can see all 5 members here of Vox moving up second mid. Now, Stillo's got an early read onto that as a result of pushing out aggressively there towards the window room, just trying to see what was going on. Quite unorthodox, but to me, definitely a reaction from the fact that Immunity have been throwing a few HE grenades down mid a lot of the rounds, and also pushing out Banana quite aggressively a lot of the rounds. So that was, I guess, Vox Eminor's counter, trying to stay away from that aggression. But now, you can see, I think we've seen this setup from them before, where they're sending 3 members towards the A apartments there, whilst the other 2 linger in mid. And it worked last time in the sense that they took the pit as they've done now, but they had so much difficulty last time getting into the site itself to get the bomb down. And this time around, it looks to be the same story there. Great work by Sniper, locking down the site, picks up a 4K for himself, the in-game leader, proving that he can also feel the fragging boots as well. And the same result there for me, Jim, in the sense they got out of Palace, but that's all they did.
Yeah, Sniper also showing us that he's a bit of a mean chef as well, grilling his opponents with that Molotov. It was a well-placed Molotov, obviously, with 3 of them trying to funnel out of the apartment block, but now just streaking ahead, and this could be disaster if they do manage to get 12 frags. As we see, they are on Tech 9 by, so aggression from Team Immunity, just wiping them out across the board as Nova, the last man standing here on T-Ramp. They are going to file in, and it's not long before he is simply disposed of.
Yeah, worrying times here for Vox. I think not just the fact that they have 3 rounds, but I think more so the fact that they've lost 10 of the last 11 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. I am correct there. I've just double checked. So 10 of the last momentum, so, well, for the last 11, I should say. So Immunity here with all the momentum at the moment, and they're definitely running with it. They're probably one of the best starting teams in Australia. Once they get in front, it can be ever so difficult to peg them back because they've got so much talent and they're so great at mixing up their play style. That's what 6 international events will do. It gives you so much experience as a team, and you can learn to play so many different ways. And those HE grenades doing a lot of damage to Moe early on, and perhaps scaring Vox Eminor out of Banana for the time being. Yeah,
he is a glass cannon at the moment, but geez, Sicko taking a massive gamble through that smoke there. James and Sniper both ready for that either way, as now Koze does revenge frag his teammate quite well there in the apartments and just causes that rotation to come off of B. But I do believe Vox Eminor, with only 3 members remaining, are starting to head towards that A site. So they just still have a minute left, and in fact, Immunity have made the call to keep 2 remaining members at B, just recognising the fact that they may play the percentages here and just try and get that B site, obviously favouring a 2v3 at that B site. Now that bomb is actually wrapping around Moe, just chaperoning it through the smokes, and they are going to catch Team Immunity off guard here. Double for Nova coming through the mini pit as they are going to open up into this site. That is a fantastic stroke of luck if there ever was a time to have one, as that Molotov now does flush him out of his position and force him up onto that box. But the retake to come in from both Ricker and Ustillo. Ricker just holding things down with that AWP as Ustillo does the handiwork and tries to cover some ground here. Does take the fight, but IBZ, not known for his AWPing ability, does take down Ricker and does also take down Ustillo. So 11-4 the score. Obviously not an ideal start for vs.Immunity, but they are getting rounds late in this half, which are positive signs, I guess.
Yeah, a few positives there for them. Let's not forget, remember, like we said beforehand, vs.Immunity must win both of the maps tonight against Team Immunity if they are to claim that first place, or at least to have a good shot at it. I think it will also depend perhaps on the results of the second match tonight, but in at least their first objective, they must win both maps. Now, they don't need to come from behind here, 11-4. Normally, a very, very difficult task, of course, when you're against Immunity. It's near on impossible, at least in our Australian scene, but the fact that they are on CT side now, I think that'll give them a little bit of confidence. They have had success recently on their CT sides of other maps. I think the teamwork's been starting to gel a little bit better. First important task, though, is to get this pistol round. You can see that Cos is the sole man with the kit in his hands on vs.Immunity, whilst Immunity actually going for the large armor play here with 4 members rocking the Glock armor train towards mid at the moment, so putting a lot of pressure and making a couple of those Vox members in the form of Sicko and I think also Moe and Cos back off away from mid, and you can see as those grenades get thrown, they're also expending a few grenades that perhaps they didn't need to. There was no one really there from Immunity, so almost a panicked throw there is what that looks like to me. Obviously, it's off the back of that early pressure that Immunity showed, but they're now backing off, slowly making their way towards B here, Jim.
That's it, they're just rocking out with their Glocks out in mid, as they did a good job of expending some utility. Sniper's the key to this round, though. Really can't afford to be the entry man for his team, as he does have a smoke and a flash. He does put a lot of pressure on Sicko, so despite not having the armor, he's certainly not showing any fear at all. In fact, they are just going to Glock train their way straight through into CT and do have control of that, and they are just going to be met by the 2 B players, in fact. Paris or Nova just sitting in that connector, just securing it for now. Does get found out, though. Ustillo finding that frag, and now a lot of pressure on this B player, as RBZ has a lot to do for his team. Unfortunately not able to do so, just backed into that corner. And now the last remaining members of vs.Immunity have to retake. Kozzy picking up the frag, Emag lurking at top mid, and is now going to come up against the duo of James and Ustillo defending that car and the old element spot as it's known. James does fall, so now back to a 2v2, and Vox putting a lot of pressure on Team Immunity here. This is crucial that they do get this pistol round if they are going to stay alive in this match. It's difficult to come from behind. He's still picking up a crucial frag. Moe, though, has a reply, and we'll just go 1v1 or 1v2 now against the last 2 remaining members of vs.Immunity. He does pick up 1 frag, but unfortunately not able to swivel on the dime, and Sniper just picking up the round and extending Team Immunity's lead here. Unlucky. I think even if Moe was able to pull off that miraculous 180 onto Sniper at the back of the side, I don't think there was enough time there for the defuse, so I think it was probably all in vain in that context. But I love the way that Immunity, they really manipulated vs.Immunity in terms of putting pressure on mid, falling back, putting pressure on Banana, and you can see by the end of it, vs.Immunity didn't have any utility grenades left. They'd expended them all. They'd also been forced to fall back and play more defensively in the sites, foregoing any sort of early information and early calls they could make to their teammates. And I think Immunity just really manipulating that. In the end, they went up mid, committed to the CT Arch side and did split onto B, but really that round was won very early on when they put a lot of pressure on both sides there and forced the CTs back. You can see Ustillo rocking his famed P90. He certainly loves this weapon, and I think he could do certainly a lot of damage if he does decide to move in towards the B side. They're sussing it out and thinking about it at the moment. Sniper, the in-game leader, side by side at the moment, and whilst the rest of Immunity are watching mid, you can't help but feel perhaps that some sort of action's going to go down at B. But as I say that, Sniper goes in and Ustillo goes back, so they have separate missions in mind. Sniper does fall there, though, so it's probably going to be the key for them to move up and commit to the A site, but oh, you can't help but wonder what could have been there. Is that pop flash and what might have been, I think, 5-7 spray doesn't quite connect, and it just allows Immunity to move on towards this A site. They do now know that there's one member there in carpets. James will drop him, so he's doing a good job this round, James. He picked up 2 frags for his team, and really this round's definitely going Immunity's way. 13-4 the score's shortly going to read. Yeah, 4-spot team in vs.Immunity, they're just not able to contend with Immunity sticking up and grouping together. Just checking all those close choke points and hidey holes quite well, and now RBZ just has to try and save this P90. Vox are on a bit of a mission, though. They're going to need to gather all the utility they can. Team Immunity, though, are hunting him relentlessly and are close to his position. He's just content to hide him behind that box. Does pick up James, but Ricker is going to try and dance with him. He does manage to pick up that frag as well, so Immunity doing good work there in eliminating all guns from this round, and the economy from vs.Immunity here is going to be a real worry for them.
Most definitely. I mean, they'll be looking at the scoreboard right now and it'll be giving them nightmares at the fact that they've got such a monumental task to do to really keep their season's hopes alive. They must win this map here. They're down 13-4 at the moment. They are on what looks to be a full eco here, so I like this decision. It will, of course, move Immunity up to 14 rounds if all goes as per it should in that sense. But at least it's trying to set up vs.Immunity well for the real first gun round where they probably have a better chance. You can see one member there in Banana does spot out the shadow of, I think, Moe. So they'll know that at least vs.Immunity are showing some sort of top of Banana presence there. I think it's almost scaring back a couple of members of Immunity, perhaps doubting how many other members might be up there as well. And I think they'll go back to the tried and true A site where they had success last round by the looks of it. Emag doing a good job of doing that first opening frag into the side, and he'll be relaying to his team the fact that it is clear. And come on in, boys, let's hit the bomb down and let's move on to the next round.
See, they are just on cleanup duties at the moment as RBZ quickly gets found out on the rotate. James just loving those frags coming at him thick and fast. He's able to deal with it quite easily. If you look at the scoreboards there, Team Immunity all putting in work, really. Sniper even putting in with those assists, so he's certainly doing damage, just assisting his team where needed, but vs.Immunity just really struggling in that frag department.
Yeah, the key thing for me is the fact that Moe, I mean, not the fact that he's on the bottom, but more so the fact that his team is struggling when, I guess, they can't rely on him to be juicing 30 or 40 frags. They need to find other ways to win rounds even when Moe isn't firing. But at the moment, you see that battle in Banana, and that it turned out to be 3 frags have already gone down. Immunity coming out the victors in the sense that they did kill 2 to only losing 1 member there in the form of James. They will slow down the pace now. I'd be curious to see what sort of setup vs.Immunity do put into place. They've got 3 members to really distribute across the 2 sites. It does look as though they are keeping 2 at A and 1 at B. Having said that though, I'm just watching as the overlay as Moe slowly moonwalks his way back towards the CT spawn. They're backtracking ever so slowly, but I think he might be best served sticking to A here, as we can see Immunity definitely have A side in mind as all 4 members closely grouped up. I like the fact that they are sticking together. It should give them the best possible opportunity to trade frags when they eventually come across the forces and the defenses, I should say, of vs.Immunity. You can see a few smoke grenades and even a flash and Molotov or 2 getting thrown to the side. They will flush out Cozzy there, so great work, Ustillo. The entry frager had so many different angles to check as he moved in towards the A side, particularly knowing that there's only potentially going to be 1 or 2 members hiding there. There can be so many spots to have to put your crosshair, but did a fantastic job of finding him without taking any damage at all in the end. And this will be a decision being made here by vs.Immunity to save their weapons. And if I'm Immunity, I'm doing everything in my possession to get those 2 guns off them so that they don't have anything to play with next round.
Yeah, crucial that they try and save this here. If they lose even one of those guns, it's lights out. I mean, they're already at a disadvantage having lost 3 members of their team. So those 2 aren't going to be able to cover the losses of the 3, but Sicko's time is limited here. They do know his position. They do know Moe's as well, so they're about to try and push through as Moe and both Sicko do get collected there as collateral in that round. So as the GoTV skips just a minute part to Immunity on match point here, in vs.Immunity forced to try and contend with 11 match points as the trend goes. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Not with what we've seen so far.
What we've seen so far has definitely been a strong Immunity after a few back and forth rounds to start off the night. Perhaps a few little nerves or just a few little jitters. They've definitely been the stronger team. It has to be said, especially at the back end of that first half, and even now starting off on the less favoured T side. And they're doing a great job. They've already inflicted some damage onto Sicko. I think he was a little bit adventurous there with his scout at the top of mid and took a bullet or 2 to the toes as a result of that adventurism that perhaps he might have. But as it is, you can see Immunity here slowly moving their way up and still putting a lot of pressure. That's always a key word that I find myself saying with Immunity. They're great at it on both T side and CT side, but putting pressure without necessarily putting themselves at risk. It's always a fine line, but something that Immunity have mastered. You can see Cozzy here at close range will put a shotgun bullet to the chest there of Emag. But at the moment, really, the battle's going down in the A site. James doing a fantastic job, and you still chime in as well. So whilst Cozzy did win the duel in the apartments, all the frags going the A side are going the way of Team Immunity. It's left RBZ here in a 1-on-3 situation. He must win this, not just to keep his team's hopes alive for this map, but also for their season. But it's not to be, as IEM James takes him down and